Thank you. All right, let's just take a deep breath in and settle in. Let's take the following words from Your Needs Myth by Jack and Cornelia Addington. The greatest of these is love. 1 Corinthians 13:13. Of all the attributes of God, love is the one least understood and the most needed to be understood. Love is the answer to every human need. Love transcends all limitation and transforms our problems into victories. Love is a perfect power within me and everywhere present in all of life. Love heals, protects, and guides. Love makes the plants grow and maintains my body. Love keeps the universe in a state of perfect balance. Love is the key to happiness, health, and prosperity. For love unlocks the kingdom of heaven within from which they all proceed. I draw love from an infinite source every time I consciously give forth love. So I'll just invite you to feel, sense that love within and around you as we're going to the meditation. I know that love is in this space. It is a love that is eternal. It is universal. It is that which sustains all things. It is the balance and order in all of creation. It is the peace, the love, the harmony that is in all things. That creative intelligence that moves through all things, animating all things. I know that love is here, always has been, and always will be. I know that I embody that love. I am one with that love. And as I know that this is the truth of who I am, I know that this is the truth for everyone here. And everyone who hears me is one with that love. We embody that love. And that love sustains us. And so I know that this gathering is called through love. And we're bound together by this love. We're one with this love. And so I know and I claim for each one of us the blessings of this day. I know that we are blessed by this love. And that everything we hear today comes from that highest consciousness of love. Reverend Jerry is blessed through this love, speaks with this love, and knows this love. So the truth we hear is from that love. I know that the music of TJ is also from that highest space of love, and I'm so grateful. I know that everything that has brought us here to this day, this moment, is through that love, and I'm so grateful. I call this day into being, and I know that this love paves the way for us, blessing us each day as we go forth into our lives, opening up doors of opportunity for us, blessing our families, our friends, our relatives, and everyone we come in contact with is blessed by this love. I'm just so grateful for this unfolding. I give great thanks for this day. I know that it is perfect. I know that love has done it. I release my words into the law, knowing that it is good, for it is all God, and so it is. So, TJ.
Good morning again. There's a lot of love in here today, and there's no higher calling in my life, in my experience. And I've noticed in my life, I can speak for myself, that the further I go down the line, the more I guess maybe the more technology moves into my life, the more I'm mindful of where I need to be and what I need to do, and how I need to plan for the future, or even when I get caught up thinking about the past. All that takes me away from the present moment, and so I'm really just calling myself out here. That's basically what I'm doing. Reminding myself that all we have is He's here, And I know it's kind of cliche or whatever, but it really is. It's the truth. It's everything else is an abstraction. Everything else is just maybe. But what we do have is here, And that's what this song is called. It's called Here. So thanks for being here. Heard a little story about a man on a mission. I heard a little story about a boy who just keeps wishing I heard a little story about a baby and the baby in a manger. I tell you right now something, I heard many things stranger. I'm looking all around, I'm seeing what we've been through. Heaven's on the ground. Would you say you're here too? Would you say you're here too? I heard a little story about a lead dog, sniffing out trails and never getting caught. I heard a little story about a people in a foreign land, and every time I hear it, I know a little bit more about just who I am. I'm listening for a sound, knowing that it's foolproof. Music's all around. Would you say you're here too? Would you say you're here too? Everything's profound when you hold it near you. Love is all around. Would you say you're here too? Would you say you're here too? I heard a little story about a man on a mission. I heard a little story about a boy who just keeps wishing. Reverend Jerry, let's go.
Great song. And there's a Sunday talk in there. I'm here too, and I'm here too. Interesting. I love that. Thank you so much. A wisdom in the surprising and wonderful places, and yet not. Right? Yes, absolutely, right? Yes, thank you. So good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. And if you're with me on Pacific time, good morning and welcome. Great to see you all this morning. So my topic for today is the greatest of these. And this month we're talking about, so this year at CSL, we've been talking about living out loud. And in September, we're talking about loving out loud. So making a little noise, making a little fanfare, making a little movement in the sand as we go along. And we're talking about this experience of love and recognizing that. And Sophia, your meditation this morning was amazing. Thank you so much for that. Talking about this experience of love and recognizing it being everywhere, present in everyone, in everything, and in life around us. I was reminded of the song from the movie Urban Cowboy that was recorded by Johnny Lee in 1980. 43 years ago. Dang, I know, right? Where have we been? Oh my goodness. But you might remember, and I won't sing it because I love you all way too much to do that to you, but looking for love in all, he sings about looking for love in all the wrong places and too many faces and so on and so on and so on. And I don't know about you, but I've done that. Looking outside myself, I will love myself as soon as you love me. I will approve of myself as soon as you approve of me. And my experience has been, and I bet yours as well, if you've been through this, is it just doesn't work. So rather than looking for love, and at any point when we recognize that life is lived from the inside out, but life really is lived from the inside out. And unless and until we recognize that we're the beloved, anything that anybody else says, anything that anybody else gives us is not going to do it. It's just not going to do it until we recognize the truth of our being. In 2023, it's pretty amazing out there because the good news is with social media, with, Twitter and Facebook and Instagram, and there's a new one out there that I hadn't heard of, but they keep popping up. And Twitter, I guess, is now X. X? Y, Q, X, I think, yeah. So the good news is we get to hear everybody's opinion about everything. Isn't that nice? The bad news is we get to hear everybody's opinion about everything, right? Yeah, so it kind of goes both ways, including influencers. And I'd like to know who started that, and who are you influencing, and why am I allowing myself to be influenced by somebody else's opinion? Because at the end of the day, that's all it is somebody else's opinion. It's just, may we recognize when it doesn't make sense for us that it's just background noise. It's a car backfiring. It's the kids yelling and screaming and having a wonderful time. It's just whatever it is, but it's just background noise that has no effect on us unless and until we allow it to. So important for us to recognize that. So consider your life, everything that's happened up till 10:23 Pacific time, 10:23 a.m. Pacific time on September 10th. Everything, and we won't spend the rest of the day or the rest of the week on this, but just consider we've had amazing, and I have, and I know that you have as well, you've had amazing, wonderful, heart-opening, loving, nurturing experiences. And you've probably had some heartbreak as well. Some things that didn't go the way that you expected. The things that I had no idea that was going to happen that way. And yet, through all of it, here we are. Here we are. Because through all of those experiences, and whether we judge them or label them as good or bad or wonderful or awful or heartbreaking, through those experiences, we were always loved, always nurtured, always divinely guided, even though it might not have felt like it or seemed like it at the time. When we look back, we can see, wow. So I want to talk today about love, starting with that love that life, with a capital L, has for us. And whatever words you use for God, Spirit, the universe, the infinite, the divine, your higher power, consider this loving, nurturing presence that Jesus talked about in the New Testament as the truth of our being, as part of who and what we are. You might have read some of the writings of Emma Curtis Hopkins. She's from back in the day. I think it was Ernest Holmes. I got to go back and look at my early New Thought class notes, but it was Ernest Holmes and Emma Curtis Hopkins and Mary Baker Eddy and Melinda Kramer and Raymond Charles Barker and those kinds of people. And one of the wonderful books that Emma Curtis Hopkins wrote, and if you haven't read it, I invite you to consider, it's Scientific Christian Mental Practice. And in the beginning of the book, she talks about our good. And in the book she writes, "Can you name now exactly what your mind is seeking? You would soon be set on the right track for finding what you're seeking if you could name what you want. Are you not seeking good? Why do you move your right hand? You move it to get your good. Why do you breathe? You breathe to get your good. Why do the stones lie still and wait? They are waiting for their good. Why does the bird fly? It flies for its good. Everything moves and waits for its good." So you see that the good draws everything. The good which you and I want governs everything we do. Therefore, the good which you are seeking is your God. And I invite us to change that, to substitute that word good for love. Because everything we're doing, whether we recognize it or not, everything we're doing, everything we're seeking, everything we're looking for, at the end of the day, we're looking for that experience of love. Sometimes, as I talked about before, sometimes we do goofy things, using a purely metaphysical term. We do goofy things in looking for that love. Sometimes we do that. No, I'll talk about that later. But outside of ourselves, that finding that perfect person, I just need somebody to love me. And I don't know about you, but my experience has been that, boy, that just does not work unless and until we love ourselves and recognize that we're the beloved, that nobody else outside of us is going to give us that love and approval unless we give it to ourselves. Not a new job, not a new car, not a new relationship, not any of those things, unless and until we get it within ourselves that we're already the beloved. Because life, God's Spirit, the infinite, the divine, our higher power, whatever we choose to call it, loves us and wants us to succeed, wants us to be happy, wants us to have this most amazing, luscious, delicious, abundant, ridiculously fantastic life. That's what we came here to do. That's the opportunity for us. That's the gift for us. When we allow the still small voice to get a word in edgewise, we are offered the most amazing wisdom and guidance. Hasn't that been your experience? And maybe it's Costco. It's the Friday before a 3-day weekend. It's lunchtime. And I just need a bag of salad and a package of cookies. In La Mesa, been to Costco, La Mesa lately? I love to pick on Costco in case you haven't noticed. So and they love me, and they don't know it yet, but they do, so it's all right. But so they're constructing, and so we've got a tight parking lot anyway, and now we're going to take up some of those parking places because we're constructing. So fine. So, bringing my spiritual practice, bringing my patience, bringing my unconditional love and all the rest of that, and then asking, so where do I go to find a parking place? We ask the question, and then do we go there? Or do we automatically, does ego, and remember Wayne Dyer said that ego stands for edging God out. Does ego remind us, yeah, but it's a really busy day, you better go and park back there by the gas station? Do we do that? Or do we act on those intuitive ideas? Because the most amazing things happen for us when we allow ourselves to act on that intuition. I saw, and there's no judgment here, just an observation. Well, almost no. No judgment. Just an observation. I saw a class advertised for developing your intuition. Listen. Just listen. That's all we need to do is listen to what, and it's the loving, nurturing voice, because we also get ego, and for God's sake, Jerry, how stupid can you be? That is not the loving, nurturing voice. That's ego. That's our internal blah, blah, blah. The loving, nurturing voice is, no, do this. Go here. Call this person. It's that love that the universe has for us. So I'm probably going to tear up, so just bear with me on this. It's been an amazing summer of travel. I was at the International New Thought Alliance Congress in Fort Lauderdale in July. Just a great gathering. Fort Lauderdale in July. I don't know whose idea this is, but I love my dear ones in the southeastern U.S. But baby, it was hot. But it was a great experience, and so this year was also the Parliament of World Religions. World Religions in Chicago in July. Thank the heavens for air conditioning. So the Parliament of World Religions only happens every 4 years. In Chicago this year, about 7,000 of my closest friends and I gathering in this amazing, huge, gigantic convention center in downtown Chicago. The building was amazing. The experience was glorious. But as I'm preparing for this, it's important for me to go representing the affiliated New Thought Network, Anton. And we've got our conference the beginning of October. So I'm like, well, I don't know. And the still small voice says, go. Okay. So I go. And it's wonderful and it's amazing, and I'm seeing people that I haven't seen in a long time, and it's really neat. And so the opening ceremony was on a Monday, and it's in this room that's about the size of from where I'm standing to the back door for the apartment building across the street. I mean, we're talking 6,000 to 7,000 chairs. So this is an amazing room. And so it's the opening ceremony, and I'm running a little late, and I'm stopping to talk to people, and the still small voice says, okay, you need to get into this opening ceremony. So, fine. Came in, sat down, and they did the opening credits and so forth, and they're introducing the Parliament of World Religions Board of Directors, and they're up on the monitor with the photos. And so they're going through, and the president and vice president and the members of the board of directors, and they keep scrolling past. Now, I need to set the story up for you. My late husband and I met in 1985 at Metropolitan Community Church, MCC, in San Diego. And the first couple that we became friends with were Ralph and Tom. And Ralph and Tom and Jerry, my husband was Jerry also, became fast friends. We traveled together. We did wonderful things together. They were dear friends. And Tom always talked about his son, Michael. And Michael he wasn't a minister, but he was involved in the Presbyterian church. Very involved and lived in Chicago, lived in Germany, lived in different places, and we never met him personally, but always heard about Michael and the wonderful things he was doing. So it's July of 2023, and I'm sitting in this huge room, and the faces are scrolling of the board of directors, and the next one that scrolls is Michael Trice. So, whipped out the phone, found him on Facebook, friended him on Facebook, said, Michael, it's Jerry of Jerry and Jerry. Are you here? Can we get together at some point? And he's like, oh my God, where are you? So, came back, hug. Oh my God, it's so wonderful to see you. I've heard about you for years and centuries and decades. How wonderful. It's so great to see you. We'll connect later in the week. We didn't. He was busy. I was busy. So, Friday afternoon, time to come home, Ubered to the airport, sitting in Chicago O'Hare International Airport with however many thousand of my closest friends. And I'm at the gate, sitting, waiting to come to San Diego. And the gate next to my gate is going to Seattle. And who walks past me but Michael? So we sat down and we talked and we cried and we laughed and we had an amazing visit. And if I had not allowed myself to act on those intuitive ideas that came to me and get out of my way and allow Spirit to do what Spirit does, I would have missed out on this amazing opportunity. This is the love that life has for us, that we miss out on if we're not paying attention. Call this person. Go here. See this. We are so loved. We are so divinely guided. It's the truth of our being. It's who and what we are in every moment when we allow ourselves. So call it love, call it whatever you want to call it. Anne Lamott calls it grace. And I love this quote from her. I do not at all understand the mystery of grace, only that it meets us where we are, but does not leave us where it found us. And how often is that our experience? And because it is and has been, we draw on that remembrance. If I was divinely guided to do this, I can be divinely guided to do this and to ask. Remember in the New Testament, I think it was the Sermon on the Mount, Jesus said, ask, seek, and knock. Are we asking and seeking and knocking, or are we just going along hoping for the best? It's always our possibility. So think about this experience of love, but not just as an emotion, but as an action word. Doing something, making a difference in the world, and I'll talk more about that later. So if we talk about love, to me, we got to talk about 1 Corinthians 13. And if you don't remember, if you grew up in the Christian church, if you don't remember anything else from the Bible, I bet you remember 1 Corinthians 13. And I'm going to read it to you just because I can. Though I speak with the tongues of men and of angels and have not love in my heart, I am become as a sounding brass or a tinkling cymbal. And though I have the gift of prophecy and understand all mysteries and all knowledge, and though I have all faith so that I could remove mountains and have not love in my heart, I am nothing. And though I bestow all my goods to feed the poor, and though I give my body to be burned and have not love in my heart, I gain nothing. Love is long-suffering and kind. Love does not envy. Love does not make a vain display of itself and does not boast, does not behave itself unseemly, seeks not its own, is not easily provoked, thinks no evil, rejoices not over iniquity, but rejoices in the truth, bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things. Love never fails, but where there be prophecies, they shall fail. Where there be tongues, they shall cease. Where there be knowledge, it shall vanish away. For we know in part and we prophesy in part, but when that which is perfect is come, then that which is imperfect shall come to an end. When I was a child, I spoke as a child, I understood as a child, I thought as a child, but when I became a man, I put away childish things. For now we see through a mirror darkly, but then face to face. Now I know in part, but then shall I know, even as I also am known. And now abide faith, hope, and love, these three. But the greatest of these is love. You know, when I write this talk, I don't know why I do it, when it's going to make me cry, and I know it's going to make me cry, but that's okay. Thank you. Thank you. So this experience of love is always there for us, is always visible to us when we allow it to be. When we allow it to be. In joys and wonders and the parking place at Costco and the check that you weren't expecting so that you can pay your mortgage this month and the physical opportunity, the doctor, the interaction with the doctor that turns out to be greater than we could have possibly imagined, all of these things, as well as those things that we didn't want, that we weren't expecting, that we weren't planning on. There is this love right in the middle of that. So expressing love, so talking about Spirit expressing love for us in every moment of every day. There is also the opportunity, and I will never tell you about what you have to do, but what you have to do is also express that love for yourself. How important it is for us to do that. We talked, I think it was last month, about our joys and our passions and our what makes our tails wag and our hearts sing and all the rest of that, and how important it is to recognize, that that's why we're here. That's why we're here, is to do those things that really light us up. And as we do that, recognizing our worth and our value, that we are the beloved, that we are the expression and experience of Spirit just as everyone else is. Because remember, in the New Testament, Jesus was asked, what's the greatest commandment? And he said, to love the Lord with all your heart, mind, and soul, and to love your neighbor as yourself. Reverend Suzette was talking last Sunday, and I was reminded of and she talked a little about where we fit in the scheme of things. And being raised Lutheran, I was reminded of joy. So it's Jesus is first, then others, then yourself. So Jesus, others, you. And I would suggest that you can't do the J and the O unless and until you do the Y. So how important it is for us to be aware of that. So then now we'll talk about those people. We'll talk about the others. We'll talk about the others. I think it might be human nature for us to be drawn to people who look like us and act like us and believe like us and have similar backgrounds like us and work like us and love like us. But how wonderful, and if you've had this experience, you know, and if you haven't, I so invite you to think about it, how delicious it is, how luscious it is when we allow ourselves to meet and spend time with people who don't think like us, who don't act like us, who don't have similar backgrounds to ours, who don't love like us, and recognize that at the end of the day, all of us, going back to Emma, are just searching for our good. Whatever that looks like, whatever route that takes, all of us are just seeking the same thing. The richness comes in getting to know people from different backgrounds and different faiths and so forth. So many of you know my late husband was from a little tiny town in Appalachia in Kentucky. He had, let's see, so at when I first met him, he had five aunts and uncles plus his mother, so six kids altogether, and all of their offspring. So husbands, children. So when we would go back for a family gathering, it's like half the county is trying to get into that room to have Christmas dinner or whatever it was, which was very different for me because my father was an only child. My mother was an only child. I have one sister. I have one son. So much smaller nuclear family, but they had just these huge hordes of people. Very different. Life is a little different in the mountains of Kentucky. They do Christmas on Christmas Eve. We do Christmas Day. For heaven's sake, what are you doing? He's not here yet. How can you celebrate the birth of Jesus if he's not here yet? Right? Yeah. They have chicken and dumplings, which he loved. I never could get, but whatever. And collard greens and biscuits and gravy that I have grown to love over time. But just a different experience, a different and so wonderful, and I could not have been more blessed because they were so loving and so welcoming and still are, and I will probably be with them for Thanksgiving, which is just the greatest experience because they are part of my family and always will be. What I believe and what I know is that we all just want the same thing. We all just want to love and be loved. We all want to have enough, to feel safe, to feel secure, to have a purpose. That's what we want. That's, if there's somebody out on the corner this morning, that's what they want. That's what the youth in Urban Street Angels program wants. That's what everybody wants, is to just feel loved and nurtured and safe and secure and to have enough. Sometimes people go about it in different ways, not the way we would have, not the way we would have chosen or we would have suggested for them, but they do it however they do it. Because each person is on their path. Each, including our children and grandparents and children and grandchildren and parents and grandparents and spouses and everybody else, each person is on their own path. Edwin Gaines once said, God doesn't have grandchildren. So each person has that relationship with their higher power. And without us getting involved, if you would just do this, your life would be so much better. Well, thanks, but that's not my choice. That's not my path. Each person is on their own path. So you've heard me say this before, and you will again. I love Facebook. And this came up for me. And if we're friends on Facebook, you might have seen this post, but I just absolutely love this. Some people are empowered by travel, and some are inspired by the warmth of home. Some thrive in the spotlight, and some feel called to support those who are on stage. Some people are comfortable half-dressed and cussing like sailors, and others prefer modesty and gentleness. The thing is, we are all empowered and inspired in different ways, and it's not our job to decide what that looks like for anybody else. Dang. Isn't that intense? Because your life would be so much better if you just do what I tell you to. No, it wouldn't. because that's not what I'm here to do. I'm here to do it, however, I'm here to do it. Course in Miracles reminds us there is love and a call to love. That's all there is. And so the opportunity for us is to recognize that call to love and to honor them, whoever they are, to honor that path, to assist when we're asked, but to know the truth for them and to love them. That's what we're called to do, no matter the situation. And then loving ourselves. Again, the greatest commandment: God, your neighbor, as yourself. As yourself. So what are we going to do this afternoon to love and honor ourselves? Some ideas. Unconditional love for all of life, including ourselves, moving from FOMO, fear of missing out, to JOMO, the joy of missing out. Thank you so much. That was so kind of you to think of me, but I'm sitting home and watching 2.5 Men reruns, or going to the park to frolic, or going to the beach, or not doing anything, just petting the dog, whatever it is. We have, as the beloved, we have that opportunity, and I would suggest that requirement, to take care of ourselves, to say yes, to say no. In love and compassion, thank you so much for thinking about me, which is another Sunday talk that we'll come to later. Loving ourselves, loving others, recognizing that we can't get away from it, but because it's in the cell of our being, it's who we are, it's what we're here for, is to recognize that amazing love that life has for us, life with a capital L, that uppercase L, to recognize that in ourselves and to share it with others. So I have 2 more quotes for you. I love this. Unless it is mad, passionate, extraordinary love, it is a waste of time. There are too many mediocre things in life. Love should not be one of them. I absolutely love that. And finally, so wisdom comes from the most amazing places. And this weekend in Florida, where I am not, is Disney's D23 weekend experience. And D23, because Disney started in 1923, D23 is the fan club of the slightly crazy Disney people. And you could get, I did not get because I had other commitments, but my beloved is there in the 90+ degree Florida weather. I know. But an amazing experience. And so they did a live stream of the conversations yesterday. And so I got to be there in the comfort of my living room with my dog next to me, but they talked about the plans for Disney World and the plans for Epcot Center, and it's just amazing. And I was reminded of this next quote from Walt Disney, who was pretty amazing. I mean, this guy was pretty amazing. And so I want to share this last slide with you. So this photo is from Disneyland in Anaheim, Christmas of 2021. And this is, if you might recognize it, this is Small World. And every year they do amazing Christmas decorations. And so this is the outside of the building. And so, quoting Walt Disney, the things we have in common far outnumber and outweigh those that divide us. So with that in mind, join me in the light for just a minute. So in the peace and the quiet of this moment, we allow ourselves to be reminded of our oneness with the God presence, with one another, and with all of life. And we give such great thanks for the opportunity to be together today, to be reminded of the truth of who we are. And so moving forward, we allow ourselves to listen to the still small voice, to be reminded that we are so loved and so nurtured and so divinely guided, and allow ourselves to ask, seek, and knock when we need to, and then act on those intuitive ideas that come to us. We allow ourselves to be reminded when we look in the mirror that we are the beloved. Already in this moment, don't need to do anything, don't need to release anything. Right here in this moment, we are the beloved. And as we recognize that each person we think of, each person we see, each person we come in contact with is that essence and expression of spirit as well, that they are the beloved. And so we allow ourselves moving forward to meet people and experiences and opportunities coming from that place of love, knowing again that there is love and a call to love. So for our time together, for this beloved spiritual community, we give great thanks. And together we say, and so it is. Thanks, everybody.